Imagine standing in a void where the ticking of a clock is the only sound you hear. But as you look closer, the clock begins to melt. The seconds stretch like rubber, and the very ground beneath you ripple like water. For centuries, humanity has looked at time as a straight line, a constant river flowing from a fixed past toward an uncertain future. But what if I told you that everything you know about time is a lie? What if time isn't a river, but a massive, invisible ocean where every moment, past, present, and future, is already existing simultaneously? To understand how we can break the barriers of time, we first have to understand what time actually is. And for that, we must travel back to an era where time was considered absolute, a heartbeat of the universe that skipped for no one. Isaac Newton, the father of classical physics, saw time as a master clock, an independent entity that moved at the same pace for a king on his throne and a star in the distant sky. But this simple view was shattered in the early 20th century by a patent clerk named Albert Einstein. Einstein didn't just look at the stars, he looked at the space between them and realized that space and time are not separate. They are woven together into a single, flexible fabric called space-time. Think of this fabric like a trampoline. If you place a heavy bowling ball, like a sun or a black hole, on it, the fabric curves and stretches. Einstein's groundbreaking revelation was that gravity isn't just a force pulling things down, it is the warping of this very fabric. And because space and time are linked, when you warp space, you also warp time. This leads us to the mind-blowing phenomenon known as time dilation. It sounds like science fiction, but it is a proven physical fact. The faster you move through space, the slower you move through time. If you were to board a spacecraft today and travel near the speed of light for just a few years, you would return to an Earth that has aged centuries. Your children would be gone, your civilization might be in ruins, and you would be a living relic from the past, effectively having traveled to the future. This isn't just a theory. We see it every day in our GPS satellites orbiting high above the Earth, where gravity is slightly weaker and speed is higher, causing their onboard atomic clocks to tick at a different rate than the ones on your wrist. Without Einstein's corrections, your phone's navigation would fail within minutes. But if the future is reachable through speed and gravity, the ultimate question remains: can we go back? Can we step into the past and change the choices that haunt us? To answer that, we have to look at the darker, more violent parts of our universe, like the Oort cloud at our solar system's edge, or the crushing depths of a black hole, where the laws of physics begin to scream. In this first part, we have established that time is not a cage, but a flexible dimension, a road that can be bent, stretched, and perhaps even looped. But as we move toward the next chapters, we will face the terrifying paradoxes that await anyone brave enough to travel backward. The logical loops that suggest that even if you could go back, the universe might find a way to stop you. Or worse, you might become the very reason the past happened the way it did. This is just the beginning of the end of time as we know it. We've established that traveling to the future is a matter of speed and gravity, but the human soul has always been restless for the past. We want to go back. We want to see the faces we've lost and fix the mistakes that define us. But the universe doesn't give up its secrets easily. To travel backward in time, we have to look for the forbidden doors. Shortcuts through the very geometry of existence. Scientists call these shortcuts Einstein-Rosen bridges, better known to the world as wormholes. Imagine the entire universe is like a vast, flat map. To get from one side to the other, you have to travel across the entire surface. But what if you could fold that map? What if you could punch a hole through it and connect two distant points in space and time instantly? This isn't just a fantasy. Einstein's equations actually allow for the existence of these tunnels. However, a wormhole is a violent and unstable thing. To keep one open long enough for a human to pass through, we would need something called exotic matter, a substance with negative energy that pushes outward, defying the very gravity that tries to collapse the tunnel. But even if we could build such a door, where would it lead? If one end of a wormhole remains stationary and the other is moved at the speed of light, the two ends would exist at different points in time. Stepping through wouldn't just be a journey across light years, it would be a leap across centuries. Yet, as soon as we contemplate stepping into the past, the universe presents us with a wall of logic that seems impossible to climb. This is the realm of the paradox. Think of the grandfather paradox, a scenario so famous it has haunted physicists for decades. If you travel back to 1940 and somehow prevent your grandfather from meeting your grandmother, your father is never born. If your father is never born, you are never born. And if you don't exist, who traveled back in time to change the past? The moment you pull the trigger on history, you erase the very hand that pulled it. It's a glitch in the cosmic code, a loop that breaks reality itself. Then there is the even more haunting bootstrap paradox. Imagine you are a struggling musician and a time traveler gives you the sheet music for a masterpiece that hasn't been written yet. You publish it, become famous, and years later, you become that very time traveler who goes back to give the music to your younger self. The question remains, where did the music come from? It wasn't written by you, and it wasn't written by the time traveler. It exists in a loop, an effect without a cause, a piece of information born out of nothing. These aren't just riddles. They are the reasons many scientists, including Stephen Hawking, proposed the chronology protection conjecture. Hawking believed that the laws of physics might conspire to prevent time travel to the past because the universe must protect its own history from being rewritten. But what if the universe has a workaround? What if every time you travel back and change something, you don't actually change your past, but you create a brand new branch of reality? This is the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. The idea that for every decision made, the universe splits. In this version of reality, you could kill your grandfather and survive, because you are now in a parallel timeline where you were never meant to be born, while your original home remains untouched. As we look toward the final part of our journey, we must ask, is the soul itself a time traveler? From the ancient Indian concepts of the Kal Chakra, where time is a wheel that repeats every few billion years, to the modern laboratories where time crystals have been created, matter that repeats in time just as crystals repeat in space, we are beginning to realize that the boundary between the now and the then is much thinner than we ever imagined. We have explored the speed, the tunnels, and the paradoxes. Now, we must face the ultimate truth. If time is a cage, who holds the key? Beyond the math of Einstein and the strange tunnels of wormholes, we arrive at the most profound question of our existence. If time travel is truly possible, what does it mean for the human soul? For thousands of years, we have lived under the belief that we are moving on a thin, fragile string from our first breath to our last. But the deeper we look into the universe, the more that string starts to look like an infinite web. In ancient times, long before the first telescope was ever built, the sages described time as a great wheel. They believed that everything we are doing today, every word we speak, and every choice we make has already happened in a cycle that repeats every few billion years. Today, modern science is starting to agree with these ancient whispers. At the heart of this mystery is the world of quantum mechanics. In this invisible realm, particles do not follow the laws of our daily lives. They can be in two places at once, and they can communicate across millions of light years instantly. Some physicists now believe that at this fundamental level, time itself does not exist. It is merely a shadow, a projection created by our limited human minds to make sense of a reality that is too vast to understand. This leads us to the block universe theory. This theory suggests that the past is not gone and the future is not waiting to happen. Instead, every moment of your life is frozen in a giant cosmic block of space-time. Your childhood, your present moment, and your old age are all existing at once, like different frames in a film reel that is already finished. If this is true, then time travel is not about building a machine, but about learning how to shift our focus to a different part of the reel.
But as we stand on the edge of mastering this cosmic clock, we must face the weight of our discovery. If we could go back and erase our mistakes, would we still be the same people? If every joy could be relived, and every tragedy avoided, would life still have its beauty? We cherish the moments of our lives specifically because they are fleeting. We love because we know that time is limited. If time travel becomes our reality, the very meaning of being human will change forever. We are no longer just inhabitants of a planet. We are becoming architects of our own history. We are learning that the cage of time has always had a door, and we are finally finding the key. However, as we look through that door, we realize that time is only half of the puzzle. The universe is not just a sequence of moments. It is a physical place with boundaries that are far more terrifying than any paradox. We have focused so much on the how of our existence, but we have forgotten to look at the where. As we sit on our small blue planet, thinking we have understood the universe, a silent and invisible force is watching us from the darkest corners of our own home. Beyond the orbit of Pluto, far past the reach of our fastest satellites, there is a boundary that no human eye has ever seen. It is a massive, frozen shell of ice and shadow that wraps around our entire solar system like a giant shroud. This is the Oort cloud. It is a place where the sun is nothing more than a faint star, and where the laws of gravity begin to blur. It is the graveyard of ancient comets and the birthplace of cosmic messengers that have the power to wipe out life on Earth. For decades, we believed this cloud was just a collection of quiet rocks, but new evidence suggests that something is moving in that darkness, something that shouldn't be there. As we finish our journey through the mysteries of time, we find ourselves standing at the edge of this new, frozen frontier. The clock has told us how we move, but this invisible wall is about to tell us where we truly belong. If you think you understand our place in space, you are only seeing a tiny fraction of the truth. In our next journey, we are leaving the theories of time behind and heading into the absolute zero of the deep unknown. We are going to touch the invisible wall of our solar system and uncover the secrets that the Oort cloud has been hiding for 4 billion years. The journey into time was just the beginning. Now it is time to face the darkness.